Anyway, Matthew says, should NAP citations for a single location business have homepage address or the location landing page address for better maps rankings? Citations should link to the location landing page because it is a citation, which is a business direct. Well, no, that's a traditional citation is a business directory listing. A citation is a published mention of the name, address, phone number, and sometimes website. So NAPW, name, address, phone number, and sometimes website. A published mention of those elements is a citation, whether it's a business directory listing or just name, address, phone number, website published in the middle of a blog post or in a YouTube video description. Those are all citations. It's just there are traditional citations, which are typically business directory listings, and non-traditional citations. And the point is that you are referencing the specific location, the elements of the specific location, the name, address, phone number, and website. So if the location landing page, if it has a dedicated location landing page, then that is the website URL that you should reference in the citation. Not another page, not the home page, the location landing page. Whatever the name, address, phone number, and website information are that are referenced in the GBP, that's what you should reference in the citation so that it's consistent, right? You want NAPW consistency. By the way, Google is a hell of a lot more forgiving now than it used to be about things like punctuation. Things like, for example, years ago, it used to be that if you had, let's say 123 Main Street was the address of the company, and somebody put 123, but like if you looked it up in Google, it was like the address, not the GBP, but the address was 123 Main ST, but somebody referenced or spelled street out as STREET, then that used to actually be a potential NAP issue. It could cause problems for Google business profiles because Google was a lot dumber back then, right? It used to be where punctuation, the way you spelled things, everything made a difference. Now Google is a hell of a lot more forgiving with that. So whether it's ST or street spelled out, it doesn't matter. Whether you have number or suite instead of or the pound sign instead of, or suite or something like that, if it's, a mailbox number or whatever, that doesn't really matter. All of that, Google is a lot better at understanding now because of things like AI. So, but you want consistency in the brand name, especially the physical address, again, using, as long as it's the same address, just the formatting could be different, and it's still okay because it's the same address. The phone number should be consistent. You can have multiple numbers, by the way, but so you can have a public number that's displayed in the Google Business Profile as like a tracking number or forwarding number. But then you could have the primary, like if you take on a client that has a main number, but you want to add a tracking number so that you can monitor the calls that are being generated through web assets, et cetera, then it's perfectly okay to do that because when you go into the Google Business Profile Manager, you go into, business details. And when you get to the phone number section, you just click additional phone number to add another field. And then you move the original phone number to the additional phone number field and put the tracking number in the primary field. Click save. And now the new phone number will be displayed, but Google has on the back end the original phone number. It's still integrated into the GBP. So Google's fully aware of it. And so that does not cause NAP discrepancies. In other words, if there's existing citations on the web with the original phone number, and then you take on a project that you now add a tracking number to it, as long as the original phone number is still part of the GBP, then you can start building new citations on directories that don't already have a listing for it with the new phone number. And it does, even though the Bright Local reports and citation tracker reports will show that that's a discrepancy, it's not really a discrepancy because Google's aware of both phone numbers. So that's why I say Google's a hell of a lot more forgiving than it used to be. But the brand name should be consistent. And I'm going to take a moment to mention that only because we have a newer mastermind member. I'm not going to mention him by name. And if he happens to watch this Hump Day Hangout replay, or if he's live now, he's one of the guys I told you at the top of our webinar today, or the Hump Day Hangout today. I talked about how I got 14 audits in queue. Well, 2 of them are from one of our new mastermind members. And I did one yesterday and just finished the other one today. I haven't delivered that one yet. But in both instances, there are 2 or 3 versions of the brand name. being appended or associated in the SEO titles of pages. And guys, don't do that. Be consistent with the brand name. Now, if the brand has Inc. or LLC, and sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not, that's not a big deal. That's very forgiving. But don't use different versions of the brand name. Don't do that, guys. Like, be consistent with the brand. I don't understand, and I'm not picking on him. And I tried to say that multiple times through the audit video that I sent. But I get frustrated when I see that kind of shit because it's like, what are you doing? That's polluting the brand or causing entity pollution or brand ambiguation, right? Don't do that. Don't switch the names up to where in some cases it's this variant of the brand and in other cases it's that. Don't do that. There's a registered company name. That's what you should go with. If you're going to have a variant of the brand name, then first of all, you should have a DBA, a fictitious name registered with the State Corporation Commission that associates that other name, variant of that other brand name, with the original corporate entity name. That way, there's a paper trail. There is validating evidence that can be confirmed and validated through the State Corporation Commission that those are variants of the same brand. That's fine. That's a DBA. But if you don't have DBAs for that, don't change the brand name up. Use the proper brand name. And that's because otherwise, now what are you doing? You're confusing Google about who the business is, what they do, and where they do it, because Google's not sure who the fucking business is. If there's 3-4 versions of the brand name out on the web, don't do that. Be consistent. So, name, address, phone number, website. If you're linking to a specific, if you're referencing a specific location, you should have the brand name proper, the physical address. It should be correct address. The formatting of the address can be varied, and that's okay because as long as it's the correct address, it's okay. The phone number should be consistent unless, like I mentioned, there's a original phone number and a tracking phone number, in which case, as long as one of those two numbers are used, it's okay. And then the website URL should be consistent, which should be the location landing page, not some other page on the site, not the homepage. If the homepage is location landing page, fine, use that page. But don't, if it has a dedicated location landing page in the Google Business Profile, then why would you link to the homepage? And I'm not picking on you, Matthew. I'm just answering the question in the way that I typically do, which sometimes my delivery is a bit rough. I understand that. But just understand I do have your best interest at heart. And sometimes they call it tough love. You know what I mean? So anyway, hopefully that's clear. You want to be consistent, guys, with your branding, with what you're referencing as your NAPW, your data points, right? Unless you have some of those other kind of functions or mechanisms in place like DBAs, additional phone numbers and GBP, etc. Okay, hopefully that's clear.